Hey guys, good evening. Sam here with another session of Common English Expressions. This is session 12, I believe. Maybe, yeah, I think it's session 12. I hope you guys are all having a great day. So we finished our F topics, and today we're going to get started with our G topics. Hey, Amir H 4251. Thank you for joining me today. It's very good to see you. Hi, A30. Good to see you too. Thank you guys for joining me. Hey, ASH Mariam and Faran Mehrabi. Good to see you. Hey, Sarah MMK. Thank you for joining me today. Hey, Mehdad. How are you doing? Good to see you today, man. Thank you for joining in. So, as I was saying, today we're going to get started with our G topics, finish the F topics, and we're going to move on to the G topics. I think there's going to be quite a few of the G topics, and then we'll move on. If you guys haven't seen it yet on YouTube, the first 3 sessions are up now, so 2 more sessions got added. So go ahead and check that out if you guys missed it or if you want to see it again. So there's 3 sessions up now. Hey, Leo 1994, good to see you, man. Thank you for joining me. Good evening to you guys. Hey, Elahe KA9595. Thank you for joining in, guys. It's really good to see you guys. I'm glad that this new time is working out for you guys, and you can join me here for the live session. If you guys haven't been in one of my live sessions before, what I'm doing right now is I'm going over common English expressions. I'm doing A to Z. We are on our G topics right now. Don't worry if you missed it. You can catch it on YouTube. I also have my notes up for each session as my highlights. I started doing that from session 4, so you can also read those if you want to. Hey to MTNOBS, thank you for joining me, man. And Sajadu01 and SS Original Gmail, good to see you. Thank you for joining in. Hey Ghasemi2Info, how you doing? Good evening to you guys. I hope you guys are having a great day. Did you guys have to go to work today, or were you staying in quarantine at home? I know I've been at home because the English cafe is closed, so that's what I've been up to, just staying at home, not really doing much of anything, just watching TV series, things like that. So today we are going to start with the topic of generalizing. When I say generalizing, it means saying something in a very broad way, okay? When we want to talk about something in a very general way, we call it generalizing. That's going to be our first topic. I'm going to talk about some topics, some expressions we can use to talk about something generally. So to generalize something, okay? Just gonna wait a minute or two to see if some more people will join before we get started. As I said at the beginning, session 2 and 3 are also up on YouTube, so if you guys missed them, go ahead and check them out. That was, I think, still in the A and B topics, probably all A topics, I'm not sure. But if you missed it, go ahead and check it out. It's on YouTube. You can watch it there. And the rest of the sessions should be going up soon. Mr. Afshari is working on it, so they should be up at some point, okay? All right, guys. I'm going to get started with our topic for today. As I said, we're in the G topics, so we're going to do 2 G topics today. Okay, I'm going to turn off the comments, guys. If you have any questions, please write them down and ask me afterwards. I will turn on comments again, okay? Here we go. Okay, so, there are a lot of expressions in the English language for when we want to talk about something that's in general. So something that's true most of the time, but not all the time. When we want to talk about that, we say we are generalizing about it, okay? There are a lot of different ways we can do this. I'm going to cover 10 different ways today. And there are 10 of the more common ones. You can use them for any topic, okay? So let's get started. So the first two expressions are when we use like a number to talk about how often something happens. Let me mute my phone so it doesn't make extra noises. There we go. Okay. So if we are fairly certain that something happens a lot, it happens very often, we can say 90% of the time, okay? 90% of the time. So we use this expression when we want to talk about something in a general sense. For example, if you want to talk about your favorite sports team winning all the time, you can say, Persepolis wins 90% of the time, or 90% of the time they win their game. So in general, you're saying if they're playing, they're probably going to win. Or if you want to talk about some kind of a social issue, like you can say 90% of the time women get paid less than men. Okay, you're saying in general. There could be cases that's not true, but in general, you're saying it's true. Now, pay attention, guys. We don't really know if it's 90% or not. The number doesn't have to be literally true, right? It could be, 80%, it could be 95%. When we say 90% of the time, we're just saying in general. Generally, this is what happens, okay? So we can say, 90% of the time, children love to watch cartoons, okay? We can make a general statement about any topic, and when we say it like this, we're just saying, this happens a lot. It doesn't always happen, but it happens a lot. Another way we say this in English is we say 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10. So going back to our previous examples, we say 9 times out of 10, women get paid less than men. Okay? We're talking about something that happens in general. It doesn't have to be exactly 9 out of 10 times. It can be 7 out of 10 times. It can be 10 out of 10 times, but we say 9 times out of 10 because it's a common expression, okay? So 9 times out of 10, children love chocolate, okay? So we can use this to talk about anything that's general, that happens a lot, but it doesn't always happen. Now, the difference between 90% of time and 9 times out of 10 is 90% is 90 out of 100, okay? 9 times out of 10 is 9 out of 10. That's the difference if you want to know the meaning. The expressions themselves can be used interchangeably, okay? So, you can say something like, hey, where's Tom? Oh, Tom, 90% of the time he's late. Okay, you can say Tom's late in general. 90% of the time he's late. Or, 9 times out of 10 he sleeps in. He likes to wake up late. Okay, so very useful expressions. Whenever we want to talk in our daily lives about something that happens a lot, we can use them. Now, the next 2 expressions refer to the frequency, how often something happens, okay? So the first one is more often than not. More often than not. So we want to talk about Tom being late. We say more often than not, Tom is late. This expression, the meaning of it is that what happens most of the time is Tom is late, okay? Maybe we want to talk about something that happens in our society, some social issue. We say more often than not, the police catch criminals. Okay, so usually criminals get caught by the police, something like that. We can use it to talk about the news if we want to. If there's something happening on the news, we say more often than not. More often than not, what happens in the news? Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. There's an expression from our last class. So let's see. Maybe on the news, a lot of times we see that there is a debate happening by politicians, but there is no law passing. So we say more often than not, politicians debate topics, but they don't pass laws. Okay, we can use it like that. We can say generally that's what they do. We can use this to talk about people, what they do often. We can say, for example, more often than not, Tom gets to school late. Or somebody asks you about somebody else. Hey, where's your dad? Well, more often than not, he's at the park about this time of the day. Usually he's at the park this time of the day. And here's our next expression, usually. Usually. Usually and more often than not, both of them are used very similarly. So as you notice, I said usually he's at the park this time of the day. Somebody asks you, what time do you normally eat dinner? Usually we have dinner around 7 p.m. More often than not, we eat by 8 p.m. Okay? Both of them are very used in a similar way, so they're very useful expressions. Usually is used very commonly. It's a very good word to learn how to use properly. Learning its synonyms are really good too. Now, these expressions we're learning today can be really useful in your IELTS speaking test, because a lot of times what happens is they give you a topic and they want you to talk about it. And using these general statements are a really good way of conveying information, okay? So maybe, the IELTS examiner asks you, can you tell me about your hometown? What are the people in your hometown like? You can say, the people in my hometown, they usually like to go out at night, okay? Or, 9 times out of 10, they go everywhere with car. They don't like to walk. Okay, so you can convey information using these expressions. They are very useful. You can definitely use them in your IELTS exam as well. Try to use different ones. The thing about IELTS exam is the more you show, your vocabulary, the better it is. So if the first time you said usually, second time say 9 times out of 10. After that say more often than not, or something like that. Now, the next expression is when we are talking about some rule that isn't always it doesn't always apply, but in general it applies. Okay, so we say as a rule of thumb. As a rule of thumb. So what we mean when we say this is usually it's a rule that you should do something. For example, when we are driving, as a rule of thumb, we don't want to, we want to wear our seatbelt, right? As a rule of thumb, for safety, we want to wear our seatbelt. Now, wearing your seatbelt is something you should do all the time. But, if, for example, you need to take it off to do something, as a rule of thumb, it's a good idea to keep it on. Maybe some other rules like, if you go to a workplace, if you get a new job, you ask your coworker, hey, what are some of the rules here? Your coworker says, as a rule of thumb, you should have your lunch between 1 to 2. That's a good time to have your lunch. It's not an official rule. It's not precise. You could have your lunch at 2:30. But as a rule of thumb, it's a good idea to have it between 1 to 2. Okay? So usually when we use this expression as a rule of thumb, we're saying some unsaid rule. Like we're saying some rule that isn't actually precise. Okay? It's not, you should do it exactly like this. It's like you should do this. It's a good idea to do this. Okay? In fact, a lot of times you can replace as a rule of thumb with just saying should. Instead of saying, you ask your coworker, hey, when is it a good time to have lunch? You say, as he says, as a rule of thumb, you should have it between 1 to 2. He can just say, oh, you should have it between 1 to 2. Both of them are very interchangeable. We can also use this to talk about, when we want to explain something to someone. So, for example, we're talking about our job. So you're in your IELTS exam, the examiner asks, can you tell me a little bit about your job? You say, yeah, I'm a teacher. As a rule of thumb, I like to stay professional, keep my relationships professional. So what that means is I usually don't like to have a casual relationship, with my teachers. With my students. I'm a doctor. As a rule of thumb, I try to go home by 5 o'clock. I try not to stay later than 5. It's not a rule anybody is forcing me to do. It's just a general rule I like to keep. Nothing's going to happen if it goes to 5:30, So, very useful expression when we want to talk about some self-imposed rule. We want to talk about some rule that we set for ourselves, or just a general rule everybody follows. Very useful to use it. We can talk about it. We can use it to talk about what's okay to do in society, okay? So, for example, you go to the park and your friend asks you, is it okay to smoke here? You tell them, as a rule of thumb, it's not okay to smoke in public places. Okay, so you can use it to talk about what it's okay to do, what it's generally accepted to do in different places. You can use it to talk about, if there is a certain rule in your house and somebody comes in, as a rule of thumb, we take off our shoes when we enter the house. So that's the rule we have in our house, okay? So very useful expression. You can use it to talk about any general rule, okay? Now, the next expression is when we want to talk about some sequence of events, or when we want to talk about what usually happens. We say, what normally happens is. What normally happens is. So this expression is very useful to talk about some event that happens very often. For example, if you have some kind of a holiday that's annual, that happens every year, and every year there's some celebrations, you can use it to talk about it. So maybe somebody is visiting Iran and they don't know anything about Çarşamba Suri. So you can say, what normally happens on Çarşamba Suri, or on Çarşamba Suri, what normally happens is we have fireworks and we jump over fire. Okay? So very good way of talking about some event and how things happen in it. And maybe you want to talk about what happens in a wedding. You can say, in a wedding, what normally happens is the bride and the groom have to, say their vows, something like that. Maybe you want to talk about some daily event that happens at your job, okay? So, at work, what normally happens every morning is our boss gives us a speech. He comes and talks to us, okay? So a very useful expression to use for different events. Again, for your IELTS test, if you are describing some kind of an event, you can use this expression. So for example, your examiner asks you, tell me about the last time you and your family got together. You say, okay, so what normally happens when we get together is we have dinner, and this is, and then you can continue on. But last time we didn't have dinner, and last time was about the same, okay? So very useful expression. Maybe you can use it, in the previous example where the examiner asks you about a holiday. Examiner says, okay, can you tell me about your favorite holiday? You say, okay, my favorite holiday is Çarşamba Suri, and what normally happens on Çarşamba Suri is, we have fireworks, whatever, okay? The next two expressions are very commonly used, and you can use them in a formal setting or informal setting. The first one is in general. In general. So this is a very common expression. You can use it in a formal setting or informal when you're talking to your friends. So when you're talking to your friends, for example, your friend asks you, hey, what time do you get off work? In general, I get off work by 8 o'clock. Okay, so you can say, normally that's when I get off work. Usually that's when I get off work. Okay, very casual conversation. Or, in a formal setting, your boss is like, so your boss asks you something like to talk about your coworker. He says, has Tom been getting here on time every day? You say, in general, he's on time. In general, he's on time. Okay, so good expression to learn to use in any situation. When we say in general, afterwards we should give a description of what happens usually. Okay, so we can use this for any topic. It's a very versatile expression. We can use it for all the topics I mentioned. So for example, if you want to talk about a holiday, in general, on Charshambe Suri, we light a fire and we jump over it. If you want to talk about something that happens in society, in general, women get paid less than men. If we want to talk about, I don't know, if we want to talk about, your favorite food, you say, in general, Iranian food is better than American food. Okay, something like that. So very useful expression. You can use it anywhere, formal, informal, casual, whatever. The next expression is very similar. It's generally speaking. Generally speaking. So these expressions are interchangeable. You can use one or the other. Like I said, if you want to impress your IELTS examiner, try to use more of these because it shows them that you have more than one way to talk about something in general sense. Obviously, don't force it. If it's a topic you're on and you can talk about it in general sense, generalize it, you should use it. So we use it much the same way. We say, generally speaking, I finish work at 7. Generally speaking, I finish work at 7. So by 7, I'm done, usually, normally. At work, your boss asks you, does Tom come in on time every day? You say, yeah, generally speaking, he's here on time. Generally speaking, he's here on time. Okay. Or you want to talk about, something that happens in society. Again, generally speaking, women get paid less than men. Generally speaking, it's a good idea to wash your hands. That was a good one. For a rule of thumb, as a rule of thumb, you want to wash your hands every time you go to the bathroom. Okay, it's a rule that everybody follows. It's a rule of thumb. Okay, generally speaking, you should wash your hands. Very good rule. Okay, so any of these things, these expressions are very versatile. You can use them almost interchangeably. The next expression is, the next two expressions are actually used in a formal setting, even though they're not as formal. We say on a whole. On a whole. So usually in a business setting, in a formal setting, this is one of those expressions that gets used in a business setting. So for example, we might say it was a pretty good conference on the whole. It was a pretty good conference on the whole. Okay? Or on the whole, it was a pretty good conference. What this means overall, this is very similar to saying overall or in general. So what we're saying when we say it was a good conference, we're saying in general it was a good conference. Maybe there was some bad news, but overall it was good. Or on the whole, she felt that the report was fair. On the whole, she felt that the report was fair. So overall, she looked at the report and she felt that it was fair. It was okay. A very good expression to use if you don't want to just say generally or overall. You can say on the whole. Usually it's used in a more formal setting. So maybe you hear it on the news. They say, on the whole, everything is going on well. People aren't getting coronavirus, something like that. The second expression is very much like this one. It's by and large. By and large. The meaning of this expression is the same as on the whole. It means overall or in general. So for some examples, we can say, I think the emphasis should be on recruiting by and large, I think the emphasis should be on recruiting the right people. Okay, so in general, I think we should recruit the right people. Or overall, I think we should recruit the right people. So, by and large, I think we should be recruiting the right people. Or, there are a few things I don't like about my job, but by and large, it's very enjoyable. Okay? There are a few things I don't like about my job, but by and large, it's very enjoyable. So what I'm saying is, some parts of my job I don't like, but in general, overall, I like my job, okay? So very useful expression. It's used usually in a formal setting, by and large, or on the whole. Both of them can be used interchangeably. For example, I could say, I don't like some things about my job, but on the whole, I like my job. My job is enjoyable, okay? Or we can say, by and large, we have achieved our goal. By and large, we have achieved our goal. That means that in general, we got to what we wanted. Maybe some parts of it we didn't get to. Maybe our goal, was to, get a 7 on IELTS, but we still got 6.5 and the university accepted us. So, overall, by and large, we achieve our goal. Okay, we got to it. So these are very useful expressions. You can definitely use them in your IELTS exam. You can use them in everyday conversations. They're very useful to talk about some things in general. So I'm going to turn on comments, guys, if it lets me. Uh-oh. It's not letting me turn on comments. That's not good. How do I... Uh-oh. What's going on here? Sorry guys, 1 minute. I'm having some difficulties here. It's not letting me turn on comments. I don't know what's going on. 1 minute. Okay. Turn on comments. There we go. Okay, good. Sorry about that, guys. I hope that wasn't too much of an interruption. So I hope you guys found these expressions to be useful. Hey, Mariam MP1, good to see you. Thank you for joining me. I hope you guys found these expressions to be useful. These are really, really good to practice. Just put them into your everyday conversations. A lot of times we want to talk about something, and when we want to talk about it in general sense, we can use these expressions. So very useful expressions. I don't know what's going on with my phone right now, but it's really weird. Like, it's glitching out. I don't know if you guys can see the picture jumping. If you can't, if it's going fine, then I won't do anything. But if there's anything wrong with it, let me know. Like, it's jumping for me. So I haven't uploaded my videos. Actually, Amin Reza, the videos for session 2 and 3 are uploaded. I'm sorry it's taking some time for them to get uploaded, but the guy who's doing it, he's really busy. He's uploading all the videos for all the different English Turbo instructors. So he's got quite a bit to do. But he let me know that up to session 3 has been uploaded. Hopefully the rest of them will be coming up soon. I'm sorry it's taking such a long time, but he told me that he's going to try his best to upload them as soon as possible. So go ahead and check it out, Ami Reza, and let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed those sessions. If you guys have any questions about how to ask things or how to talk about things in a general sense, you can ask them right now. We just covered some expressions that we can use just to do that. It's a very useful skill to have, to be able to talk about things in general. I don't know what's going on with my phone. Hopefully that's not causing any problems for you guys. No problem, Ronnie. I'm happy to help. I'm doing good, Amir Abbaswin. Good to see you, man. Thank you for joining me. Good evening to you guys who joined me after I said hi to everyone. Do you guys, is there any problem with my video right now? Is there any problem with my internet or video? Can you guys tell me if there's anything going on? Sorry. If not, I can just continue. Hopefully everything is good, okay? Okay, anyways, so we're done with our generalizing expressions, and we're going to move into a different topic. Hey, Yusuf Nurpur, good to see you, man. Thank you for joining me. So, yeah, what do you mean just MG, Hissam? Or are you talking about, like, there's a lot of videos of MG on the YouTube page, but yeah, that's because he's a really good teacher, so, you know. Okay, good. I'm glad everything is good. All right, so the next topic we're going to talk about is actually, it's something I was thinking about doing. It's not exactly a topic itself, but it's a really useful, topic to talk about. It's get words. It's more of a collocation lesson, okay? So it's get expressions or get short expressions. What I'm going to talk about is how we can use get to talk about a whole different bunch of topics. Get is a really useful word in the English language. Make something Irish, what does it mean? Sajadu01, it means to add alcohol to it. So if you want to make your coffee Irish, you usually add whiskey to it and it turns Irish. So that is an expression because Irish people tend to drink a lot. If you say I'm going to make it Irish, it means I'm going to add alcohol to it, okay? It's actually usually used with coffee because I don't know why. Usually they drink whiskey with their coffee, okay? Okay, anyway, so this next topic, we're going to talk about different expressions that has the word get in it, okay? Get is a very versatile word. You can use it in a lot of different places in your everyday conversations. And I'm going to talk about some of the different expressions we can make with get, okay? So I'm going to turn off comments, guys. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me afterwards when I turn comments back on. And let's get started. So as I was saying, get has a lot of uses in the English language. If you look in your dictionary, there's probably a couple of pages of get expressions, and we're going to cover a couple of them here today, okay? So the first expression with get is get ready. Get ready. We use this expression when we want to tell somebody to prepare themselves, to get themselves ready to do something, for something. So the first use of this expression is, for example, if you want to go out with your wife or husband and they're wearing their clothes, you tell them, you need to get ready. We have to leave soon. You need to get ready. It means you have to hurry up, put your clothes on. Or if you have guests coming and they're not ready yet, your children, they don't have their clothes on yet, you tell them, kids, get ready. Our guests are coming. So get ready means, to get yourself ready for whatever you're about to do. If that means putting on clothes or putting on makeup, or maybe you're doing some kind of a competition you have to get ready for. So maybe if you're a sports person, what getting ready means is to warm yourself up, okay? So get ready is a general way of saying you need to prepare yourself for doing something, okay? We can also use this expression when something is about to happen, okay? So for example, we are on a roller coaster and the roller coaster is going up and it's reaching the top. You say to your friend, get ready, we're about to go down, get ready. And prepare yourself. Something is about to happen. It's going to be exciting, okay? So we can use this expression to talk about, putting on your clothes or getting yourself ready before you go to work or school or whatever. or we can use it before something happens. Maybe we have a surprise party for a friend and we see his car pull up. So we tell everybody else, get ready guys, he's here. Get ready, he's here. Okay? Very useful expression. The next one is when we want to tell somebody to leave where we are, we say get out or get out of here. Okay, so get out or get out of here. Be careful how you say this. If you say this very forceful, it could be considered to be rude. If you say it like in a strong way, like if you say get out, if you're yelling at somebody, it might sound like you're mad at them. So be careful how you say this. So if you want somebody to leave, for example, your husband is late to work. You say, get out, you're late. Come on, leave, get out of here. Or if somebody is on your nerves, they're being annoying, you can tell them, get out of here, or get out. You're annoying me, get out. Or maybe you're trying to watch TV and your kids are really noisy. You tell them, get out, I'm trying to watch TV, go play outside. Okay? Another rude way of saying this in the English language, if you want to be impolite about it, you can say get lost. Get lost. So get lost, don't say this to somebody you don't want to offend. This is when you're mad at someone and you just want them to get out. You say get lost. Okay, this is, if you say this to somebody, it's very likely it's going to hurt their feelings. Okay, so if you're mad at somebody, you can use this. You can tell them to get lost. Okay, all right. So the next expression is for when we want to start an activity or start going somewhere. We say get going. Get going. So for the example where your husband is late for work, you say get going to work already. Okay, get going. Go to your job. Or when we want to talk about we're going to start something, we can use this expression. We can say, let's get this class going. Let's get this class going. Or let's get going with the class. Okay, let's start the class. Very useful expression when we want to use it in a casual language, when we want to say let's start something. So we can say like, let's get going with this job interview. Let's get started with it. Instead of saying get started, we can say get going. Or when we want to actually tell someone they should go somewhere. Our kids are supposed to go to school. Kids, you got to get going to school. You got to leave for school. Or you call your mom, you're like, hey mom, are you at the doctor's yet? She's like, no, I haven't left yet. You should get going. You're going to be late. You should get going. Okay. The next expression is a little bit similar to some use of this get going. It's get a move on or get moving. So get a move on or get moving. When we want somebody to hurry up, when we want them to do something faster, we tell them to get a move on or get moving. For example, if you're sitting in a taxi and the driver is driving really slow and it's late, you need to get to your job or you need to get somewhere. You said, hey, can you get a move on? Or saying, can you get moving? Can you hurry up? Or in the case where you are going somewhere and your spouse is getting ready, your husband is getting ready, you tell him to get moving, we're late, get moving, hurry up, get a move on, we're late. Very useful expression. Anytime you want to tell somebody to hurry up, you can use this expression. So, for example, you go order your food, and after 20 minutes, it's still not there. You go there, you're like, can you get a move on my order? Can you get moving making my order? Okay, can you hurry up, please? Well, there's no please. You're just telling them to hurry up. You can put a please afterwards. You can say, get a move on, please. Get moving, please. Okay? Or, for example, if there is some kind of a... Okay. For example, if you are late for something and somebody is taking a long time to talk and you want to tell them to hurry up with it, to say whatever you need to. I need to go. You say, can you get a move on? I'm in a hurry. Can you get a move on? Or can you get moving? I'm in a hurry. Okay? So very, very useful way of asking somebody to hurry. The next expression is what we say to somebody who does something that's boring or something that you don't think is worth anything. You tell them to get a life. Get a life, okay? So maybe you don't like watching TV and somebody spends their whole day watching TV. You ask them, hey, Tom, what did you do today? Oh, I watched TV all day. You say, Tom, you need to get a life. You need to get a life. You need to do something useful with your life. You need to, stop doing whatever you're doing that's boring or that's useless, okay? Maybe, you call your cousin and you say, hey, what were you up to today? He said, I slept all day. Man, you really need to get a life. You really need to get a life. You need to, start doing something useful with your life, okay? So this expression, we usually say it in a casual conversation when we're talking to our family or to our friends. When they talk about doing something boring or when they talk about wasting their time, we can say you need to get a life, okay? So for example, of doing something boring, you see your friend, you're like, hey, what have you been up to lately? It's like, I'm collecting stamps, man. I love stamps. And you think stamps are boring. You say, man, you really need to get a life. You need to get a job or a wife or something. Use your time better. Okay, so very useful expression when you think someone is wasting their time or doing something useless. You can even use it. Sometimes it might be rude to say to somebody, okay? So if you want to, if you don't know a person, you shouldn't tell them you need to get a life. It might be considered rude. It might be considered impolite, like you're being mean. So for example, if you meet somebody for the first time and you ask them, hey, what do you do for your job? And they say, something boring, like, I don't know, I watch paint dry. You shouldn't say you need to get a life. You should just say, oh, okay, that's interesting. Even if you think that's boring, you shouldn't say this to somebody you don't know. Okay, so get a life. When we want to tell somebody what they're doing is boring or useless, we say get a life. And sometimes when somebody is really obsessive, we also use this to tell them to get over it. For example, if your friend broke up with his girlfriend and you call him, you're like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, man, I can't forget about her. You're just like, dude, you need to get a life. You need to move on. You need to get a life. You're being obsessive. Okay? The next expression, we say it to somebody who is sick or who is unwell for some reason. They're not feeling good. You tell them, get well soon. Get well soon. This is a really good expression when you see somebody in the hospital, for example, when you go visit the hospital and maybe they had like a surgery or they're sick for some reason. When you see them at the end of it, when you want to say bye, you say, hey, take care of yourself. Get well soon. Get well soon. So this is a really good way for ending a conversation when you are talking to somebody who is not feeling well, who is sick or hurt or something like that, and you want to wish them well. Another place we can use this expression is if we were sending a card to somebody. Okay, so maybe somebody is in the hospital or somebody just had a surgery. We can't go there, but we want to send them a card. We tell them, hey, my prayers are with you. I hope you get well soon. Get well soon. It means I hope you recover from your sickness, or I hope that you feel better. Okay, so very useful expression. Usually we say this to somebody who's hurt, physically or is sick, but you can also use this for somebody who has some kind of like a mental pain. Maybe they got dumped or maybe they're really sad about something. You can say, I hope it gets better. I hope you get well soon. Okay. All right. The next expression is also very useful. It's get real. Get real. So when somebody says something shocking or unrealistic or impossible, you tell them to get real. What they're saying is just not real. So when you tell somebody to get real, it means what they said was impossible or very unlikely. Okay? So for example, you tell your friend, get real. Your parents aren't going to let you go to school dressed like that. Maybe they're dressed in a really flamboyant way. So you see your friend and he's wearing shorts with like a tank top. You tell him, dude, get real. There's no way your parents are going to let you go to school like that. Okay? Or, an expression, a sentence we can talk about in current situation. We say, if we don't get real about our health, we're all going to get sick. If we don't get real. So if we don't look at our health realistically, we're going to get sick. Okay? So whenever we use this expression, get real, we're saying that we have to be realistic about something. Okay? We have to think about something in a real manner. We shouldn't have any crazy ideas. We should have realistic ideas, things that are going to happen. So if I say, if we don't get real about our health, it means if we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't, look at it realistically. Or, if somebody lost their job, they might tell you, after I lost my job, I had to get real about my spending. Okay, maybe I was spending too much money before that. After I lost my job, I had to sit down and I had to get real about it. I had to think about it realistically. Okay, so very useful expression. If somebody says something shocking or impossible, you tell them to get real. You're basically saying what they're saying isn't realistic. They should be thinking about it realistically. Maybe, somebody has fallen in love with somebody else. This guy, he really loves that girl. And he's telling you, hey, if I buy her car, she's going to love me. And you say, dude, get real. There's no way she's going to love you. She's just going to take the car and leave. Okay? So get real. The next expression is for when somebody is in your way. We can use it. We can say, get out of my way, or get out of the way. Get out of my way, or get out of the way. This is not a very polite way of asking somebody to get out of your way. This is usually considered impolite. So if you tell somebody to get out of my way, it sounds like you're being rude to them. But if you're mad, if you say, excuse me, they don't move, you're like, excuse me, can I get by? They don't move. You say, hey, get out of my way. Get out of the way. Okay? This expression, we can use it, when anything is blocking your way, like you're driving and you see there's a car, standing in the middle of the road. You stick your head out, you say, hey, get out of the way. You're in the way. Okay? So be careful. It's not a polite expression to use. So, if you don't want to offend somebody, you shouldn't say, hey, get out of the way. You should try to speak to them politely. But, you should try to say, excuse me or something. But sometimes, we don't want to be polite. We just want to get the guy to do what we want them to do, okay? For example, if you're trying to leave someplace and somebody is blocking your way, they're not letting you leave. You say, get out of my way, man. I'm just trying to leave. Get out of my way, okay? Or get out of the way. This expression, there's it's very similar to like get out of here, kind of, but it's not exactly the same. So when we tell somebody to get out, we're telling them to get out of where we are. But when we tell somebody to get out of my way, it means move so I can leave, okay? Be careful about this one, okay? All right, and the last expression that I wanted to talk about is actually an expression that is used in the United Kingdoms, in the UK. In England, it's get stuffed. Get stuffed. Now, this is an expression we use when we want to show anger or disagreement, or when we want to tell somebody to go away or to get lost, okay? We use that. We use this expression. This is a very British expression, but in North America, it's used sometimes. Usually in North America, they just say get lost. They don't say, get stuffed. So for example, if you're selling your car, somebody comes and they say, I'll buy your car for $10. You tell them to get stuffed. Get out of here. You're wasting my time. It's showing that you're angry or you're disagreeing with them or something like that. Okay. So you can use this expression. It's more of a UK expression. Anytime somebody says something that makes you angry or you disagree with it, you can tell them to get stuffed. It's not a polite expression, okay? So be careful. Don't offend somebody that you don't want to. Now, there is another way we can use two of these expressions, like get out and get lost. Sometimes we use these when we are surprised about something, your friend calls you and is like, hey man, I got a 9 on IELTS. You're like, get lost or get out. That means like, no way, okay? So when we use it like this, the meaning is different. When we use it like this, it's an expression of surprise, okay? We're basically saying, wow, no way, get out of here. You're joking with me. What you're saying is, you're just trying to pull my chain. You're yanking my chain, okay? So sometimes when we use get out or get lost, what we're saying is we're surprised. What the person is really surprising. They call you and they say, hey man, guess what? What? I got engaged. Get lost. No way. Okay? Or get out. No way that happened. Okay? So get out and get lost, we can use them to tell somebody to leave, or it can be used as an expression of surprise. If somebody tells us something that's really surprising, we're like, wow, no way that happened. Get out of here. Don't kid me. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the comments. So there we go. I think the comments are on now. Yeah, good. Hey guys. Okay, so if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask me about it. We covered a whole bunch of get expressions. There's a lot more. Get is a very useful word. Maybe I'll have another session about it sometime else. I just wanted to cover some of the ones you might not have heard about. Okay. So we covered some of our get expressions in this session, and we talked about how we can use some expressions to generalize some topics, so to talk about what usually happens or what happens normally with something. So I hope you guys enjoyed this session. Our next session is going to be tomorrow at 5 again, okay? I think I'm going to keep the sessions at 5 o'clock, so we can get this, keep the sessions at this time. Sarah MMK, you don't get when you should use get stuffed. Okay, so for example, when somebody says something offensive to you, or when somebody says something you just think is crazy, you can use get stuffed. So for example, somebody you just did a performance, you were singing, and somebody comes and says, they say to you, you sound like my grandma singing. You say, get stuffed. Okay. You're basically, just telling them to get lost. You're telling them to go away. It's a rude way of telling somebody to go away. It's very much like saying get lost. Okay. I don't want to deal with you. Guys, get the coronavirus real. Or is it to get lost? Yeah, we should get real about the coronavirus. So we should get real about the coronavirus. We should tell it, we should force it to get lost. We should force it, we should tell it to get stuffed. Okay, we should tell it to get stuffed. We can use that there too. Nice example, Ronnie. I like it. So yeah, we should get real about the coronavirus and we should force it to get lost. Beautiful. Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining me for today. I really appreciate having you guys in my live sessions. So our next session will be tomorrow at 5. Please check out the other instructors' live sessions. We have a whole bunch of them doing live sessions during the quarantine. I think the next person who's doing a live is Dr. Speaking at 7 o'clock. Check out his channel. He usually does interviews or he talks about the TOEFL or IELTS or something like that. So go check him out. He's a really cool guy. Is it common to say buzz off in the US? Yeah, absolutely, Amir Reza. Instead of telling someone to get stuffed in the US, they would say buzz off. Kind of something like don't bother me, get lost, in that range of, the meaning. So if somebody is annoying you or you want them to get out of there, you say buzz off. Okay. Uh, no facial, always smile. I'm. It makes it hard to teach the facial expressions. Hey, Donya, good to see you. You just missed this session, but I'm gonna post it so you can watch it on Instagram. Hopefully, more of my sessions will go on YouTube. I'm sorry it's taking a little bit of time, but the guy is really busy, so Hey, Ronnie, I hope you have a nice Corona-free day as well. I hope you guys take care of yourselves. Be careful. Don't go outside or do anything like that. Stay inside and study English, right? All right, guys. So please take good care of yourselves. You just got home from work. I hope you had a good day at work. You can watch live whenever you rest, okay? All right, guys. So take good care of yourselves. I will see you guys tomorrow. Hi, Khatere, and bye, because I'm ending this session right now, okay? I'm doing good. I'll see you guys later, all right? Take care of yourselves, guys.